In the bitterest moment of farewell, when you lose someone dear, what words offer refuge? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We utter these words for the departed, but they are truly a balm for our own broken hearts. This verse is a lifeline in a flood of grief, a reminder that even in devastation, you are connected to an eternal principle. In Surah Al-Baqarah, the Quran calls these words the sign of the patient ones. But what if this verse isn't just a condolence? What if it's a key to liberation in life itself? The great mystics, especially Sheikh Ibn Arabi, saw this verse as a sword to strike at that which holds us captive to fear and anxiety, our false self, the nafs. What if these words are the most powerful declaration of freedom you could ever utter? Freedom from the prison of I. To heal a wound, you must first look at it. Our greatest spiritual wound is the nafs. We might think of it as mere arrogance, but the Quran warns this enemy is far more insidious. Indeed, the nafs is a persistent enjoiner of evil. Have you ever been in an argument, realized you were wrong, yet refused to back down? That fire of hatred when a car cuts you off, that poisonous envy when scrolling through social media, that is the nafs. The nafs is a ruthless narrator whispering, I, me, mine. It's the part of us that wants to possess everything, our successes, our reputation, even our pain. With every experience, it builds an identity and forces us to defend its glass walls. This is the I that feels slighted, craves praise, and is terrified of being ignored. Ibn Arabi warned that the nafs is the greatest veil between us and God. It's why the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, returning from battle said, "We have returned from the lesser jihad to the greater jihad, the jihad against the nafs." The tragedy is that we have mistaken this delusional narrator for our true self. We think its fears and desires are our own, and so we live in a prison whose walls we have built, unaware that the door has always been open. This inner dictator convinces us that this life is our story when it's all about us. Why is this inner voice so devastating to our soul? Because its fundamental claim that everything revolves around me is a quiet rebellion against the reality of Tawheed, the oneness of God. For Ibn Arabi, the nafs is a hidden form of polytheism, shirk. It builds a small throne for itself and whispers, "This achievement, this reputation, this is all mine." The Quran declares, "To Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth." When the nafs cries, "Mine," it claims an ownership it never had. It creates an illusion of separation, the feeling that we are in control. God says, "We are closer to Him than His jugular vein," but the deafening noise of I, the clamor of the nafs, prevents us from feeling this closeness. Imagine a life-giving sun shines down on you, but you insist on holding a tattered umbrella over your head. The sun never stops shining, but it is you who blocks its light and warmth. You stand shivering in your own pathetic shade, oblivious to the ocean of light just beyond. That umbrella is the nafs. Ibn Arabi teaches that the greatest barrier to knowing God is this insistence on a separate self. True spiritual insight is attained only when you negate the illusion of your own existence, because in reality, nothing exists but the divine. The nafs tells us we are the center, but the truth is, there is only one center, and it is God. How do we shatter this false self to stand in the light? The mystics found the answer in the very words we speak for our dead. The solution lies in a fresh look at Inna Lillahi wa inna Ilayhi Raji'un. Let's hear it not as a condolence, but as a wake-up call. Imam Ali Faises said of this verse, "Our saying Inna Lillah is an admission that we are owned by Him, and our saying Wa inna Ilayhi Raji'un is an admission that we will perish." First, Inna Lillah. Indeed, we belong to Allah. This is a declaration of ownership in the present. Right now, this body, these thoughts, this reputation, they belong to Him. This body isn't mine, it is His trust. These thoughts aren't mine, they are waves in His consciousness. My successes are not from my cleverness, they are reflections of His grace. My failures are not a brand of my worthlessness, they are part of His decree. This isn't helplessness, it is ultimate freedom. When you feel that nothing is truly yours, who is left to be humiliated? When you see your successes aren't from you, you are freed from pride. When you see your failures aren't from you, you are liberated from shame. Inna Lillah returns everything to its rightful owner. Second, wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And indeed to Him we are returning. For mystics like Ibn Arabi, this return is not a future journey, but an inner revolution right now. It is a conscious turning from the false self toward the divine reality. Every time you feel anger and surrender it to God, you are returning. Every time pride grows and you bow your heart to the true giver, you are returning. Every time your heart breaks and you surrender it to God's embrace instead of letting pain define you, you are returning. The return is waking up from the dream of separation. It is realizing we are constantly returning to a God who never left. This perspective transforms the verse into a tool for fana, the sacred annihilation of the false self. This is the secret behind the famous saying, "Die before you die." This is not an invitation to physical death, but to kill the illusion of the nafs, the death of the shadow you have mistaken for yourself. So what really dies in Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un? Not the body or the soul. What collapses is the illusion of ownership, the pride of being in control, the lie that you are separate from the ocean. What dies is the I. From Ibn Arabi's perspective, this fana, annihilation, is not destruction, but rebirth. Annihilation from the deficient self is, in reality, subsistence, baqa, in God. Like a drop that joins the ocean, it does not disappear, but for the first time tastes infinity. As Ibn Arabi expressed it, the Gnostic is one who is annihilated from himself and subsists in the real. This is the secret of Tawheed. There was never an I and a he. There has only ever been He. This is why mystics whisper this verse not only in mourning, but in moments of joy or heartbreak. It was their constant code. I am nothing. I am not in control. I am a trustee returning to my owner. When the nafs dies, life truly begins. The person who has experienced this inner death still feels joy and sorrow, but these emotions pass like clouds. Their actions no longer spring from fear or a need for attention. Such a person becomes a polished mirror, no longer showing itself, but fully reflecting the light and mercy of God into the world. The next time you hear these sacred words, let them be a spark for an inner revolution. Yes, ask for mercy for the soul that has returned to its Lord, but then let the verse turn back upon you, still alive on this battlefield. Make this your practice for realizing, die before you die. When a wave of anger rises, whisper to your soul, this anger is not mine. Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un. At the peak of success, when pride tempts you, calm your heart. This achievement is not mine. Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un. In the moment of loss, take refuge. This pain is not mine. Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un. Hand your pain over to its true owner. This verse is the ultimate declaration of surrender. And in this surrender lies the greatest power imaginable, the key to unlocking a life of peace and true freedom. The goal is not to build a better I, but to let go of I completely. so that the infinitely beautiful reality can finally live through us. Because what really dies in this verse is only an illusion, and what is born in its place is truth itself. This is not a journey to be taken alone. If this message touched your heart, join our fellow travelers by subscribing to the Heart's Whisper channel so we can walk this path together. Your presence here is the greatest gift, and if you'd like to support the continuation of this path, you can use Super Thanks to help us bring these messages to more hearts.